movie review. Destroyer, released in 2018. It's directed by Karen Kusama, and its cast include Nicole Kidman in the lead role as Erin Bell. She's a LA detective. Tatiana Maslany as Petra. Sebastian Stan as Chris, a detective, a colleague of Erin. Bradley Whitfield plays DeFranco. Toby Cabell is Silas, and a couple of others. Right, now what have we got here? Well, I have to say that this movie was really panned a little bit by the critics, but because of Kidman's body of work, I thought I'd give it a look. And it's got a really intense beginning. Detective Bell is on a downer. She's been on a downer for almost 20 years following a mess at a bank robbery where her partner, Chris, played by Stan, ended up getting killed. And as a result, he was also her lover, and as a result, she goes about her business in a cloudy haze of alcohol. She's in her car anyway, and it's early in the morning, and she uses her car and the office at the LAPD very much as where she lives. Anyway, she is called to a crime scene, and she gets out, moves towards the scene. Two fellow officers there, and they show very little respect for her state. She looks absolutely dreadful, and she bends down and looks at the deceased and is convinced that a serial killer, or a man that she previously was involved in tracking down in that fateful robbery, is responsible, and assumes that he's probably got out of prison. Okay, that is where we stand. The movie, I found it really gripping. The longer I stayed with it, it's got a couple of stories at two different levels. We have a lot of flashbacks to what was happening 20 years ago when, as a police detective, she was full of energy, full of enthusiasm to catch the bad guys. She had this relationship with Chris, and her family admittedly was second in her list of priorities. The other story happening now, we see the issue with regard to her relationship with her young teenage daughter that is dreadful, to say the least, and her daughter is at an age where she's mixing with the wrong sort and getting involved in very petty misdemeanors. Kidman has a solid notion of what's right and what's wrong. However, in her own life, she's abusing herself through alcohol and is not really looking after herself. So this creates a contrast between her now and in the past. So anyway, she is convinced that this man Silas is responsible for the murder, and she starts to track down all the co-accused, all these sleazy people that will know about Silas. And we witness some really amazing scenes as she uses her skills and knowledge to basically feed her obsession to find him and to kill him. One scene in particular, she goes to a guy who's also been released on health grounds, to try and obtain some information about Silas's whereabouts. This man is in the last stages of life, and he basically barters with her. He'll deliver the information that she wants in exchange for her giving him a hand job, and it's really quite shocking as we see it unfold. As I say, there are lots of flashbacks in this movie with the old boyfriend, the parties when she was working undercover and enmeshing herself in the underworld of which Silas was a member. We witness a scene where Silas, who's a sociopath, provokes a weak follower to play Russian roulette. Brought back many memories of the deer hunter. She, as a police officer, develops a sort of vigilante look, which brought back memories of Death Wish with Charles Bronson. She's really not a pretty character, and there are two amazing robbery scenes. The one 20 years back and an updated one, which certainly brought me to remind myself of those robberies in Michael Mann's Heat. The dream sequences are also quite perceptive, and all in all, I think Kidman has become such a high quality actress that the film really is totally dominated by her. Another scene that's worth noting is when she goes to DeFranco's rich palace. He's a lawyer who works for the underworld, and she is trying to get some information from him, and he tries to get his bodyguards to whip her into shape. However, she's made a stern step, and she gives DeFranco, played by Bradley Whitfield, right out of the West Wing, she gives him a bloody nose, and it's really indicative of the strength she has to get things done. So, all in all, a movie that's a slow burner. The scenes finally with her daughter are very traumatic, very emotionally filled. So that's another subplot of this movie. I would thoroughly recommend it, and I'd thoroughly recommend watching Nicole Kidman.